welcome to the March 18th meeting of the Waterbury Development Review Board. I'm Dave Dodgen, acting chair. You know, they're a 7-person board, but there's only 4 of us here tonight. So,
And one.
oh, sorry, 5. Sorry, Alex. You need 4 votes in the affirmative for approval of the permit. So if you wish to continue this to a future date, you have that right. And now I'm going to ask the board members to introduce themselves, please.
Hi there, I'm Brooks Fortune. Thanks for being here.
I'm on Callan.
I'm Harry Shepherd.
That's Alex Tolstoy. Okay.
Cheryl Casey. They all know me.
First item on the agenda is Chris Noyes, 75 North Main Street LLC. Proposed construction of a 9-unit multifamily dwelling at 73 North Main Street in Waterbury. You guys, come on up,
If
Chris.
the board is okay with it, I would. Well, no, it's the Boundary Street project, if it's more of just a formality, if you guys are okay with doing that, I believe John doesn't have to sit here through the whole other project, but if it's not a formality at this point, then it's up to you guys. I think we're just trying to give John a chance to get out
Okay.
sooner than hang out for another application.
Yeah, I mentioned in the email that you guys didn't have to attend.
Yeah.
So
It looks like from what we've seen, you gave us what we asked for. So I don't think it's necessary for you folks to be here.
I'm here with Chris anyway, so
Okay,
I'm trying to
so-
double cover.
Yeah.
Good
No,
job.
I get that, John. It's okay.
Yeah.
We were. Yes,
Shoot, before you leave though, John, should you have like a sign-in sheet or should we be officially saying that we're all here for this or?
I have,
I don't wanna trust the owl.
right, the owl's not gonna do anything for you. I was making note of who was here.
Expect.
okay, thanks, John. Thank you.
Okay, next time.
Do you guys have an extra pen? Unless I run back into my office, which I can do as well. Oh, here we go. It's just too many things and too many meetings back to back. We got this.
Sorry.
No. No, that's fine.
Works fine.
Okay, we got the application agenda announced for the first hearing. The applicants could introduce themselves.
Personalized. I'm Joe Green, project architect work.
Okay. Are there any members of the public here? No, there's not. Is anybody on Zoom for that? No, don't need to worry about that. I just have to swear you in. Do you swear that the evidence that you shall give this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Okay. Confirmation of a butter notification receipt and sample letter, we have that.
Yes, it's in the packet.
Okay. All right, you're on.
Want me to give an overview?
Sure.
Sure, so the project property is at 73 North Main Street. And the project proposes to construct a new 9-unit multifamily apartment building. It's brand new construction. It's a wood frame 2-story building, slab on grade. Each unit will have an in residence garage for 1 vehicle parking space. We have addressed the zoning, and so it's a mixed use zoning district. The setbacks are identified on our sheet A1, the 0-foot front yard, 4-foot side yard, and 10-foot rear yard setback. The maximum coverage area is for mixed use is 80%. And I believe we're at 82.7% with parking and the building. Let's see, there was an existing building on the site that we have moved. So that had some coverage area of 2,000 square feet. There's a net new coverage of 6,442 square feet, less than 8%. Parking, we required one parking spot per dwelling unit for 9 spaces, and we have provided 10. All within the structure. Other than that, we submitted a floor plan, a site plan, and some exterior elevation views, so you can see what the building would look like. I think that's the high level.
This isn't no flood zone. There's no flood there.
It is like the 500 year flood.
Yeah, it's the 500-year flood, so it's not in the floodway.
Yeah, and the SFHA overlay stops at the pond across the street, so there's no overlay.
Cheryl, do you have any more comments on the project?
I do not, in my review. Everything looked pretty straightforward. I will note that with regards to the water and sewer connections, Bill Woodruff was supposed to email me today confirming that the necessary water and sewer allocations can be provided. He did not do that, but I have spoken with him about it and he said it'll be fine. So the order of operations, he wanted to intervene on and say, that's all good. The allocation, the permit for water and sewer has not yet been, or that hasn't been done yet, but he will be giving permission. He's reviewed the plan, the project. So, and I will make sure that he gets that to me in writing to add to the general file on this project. And so that was the big thing. That was outstanding.
All right, I will go around the room with the board members, see if you have any questions. Alex?
Cheryl, this is not in the historic district, correct?
It is in the design review.
It is in the design review district. Okay,
Yes.
So
It is
Do we
toward the
have-
outer northwestern edges.
do we have anything explaining what the materials will be on the building?
Materials on the building.
Yeah, we did on the elevations, Alex, we do label the material selections. And as far as exterior colors, Chris is going with pretty much an all white, white on white building tone. I actually brought a photo I can share with you guys. This is actually 60 South Main Street, Waterbury, which Chris has asked us to use as basically the inspiration for the building mass. So I can hand that out and you guys can see it closer. Sorry, Alex, I brought a hard copy. I didn't know people were gonna be on Zoom, but essentially it's a 2-story federal style house. And so the main facade that faces the main road is emulated after that, but it'll be a white on white. We've got horizontal clapboards for the primary siding, and we have some cedar shakes in the gable ends on the long side of the building, and just basically a black architectural shingle roof.
Are they
So pretty
wood?
simple. Not a lot of flare, white windows, white trim, and the garage doors will be a natural wood color.
Are the materials wood themselves?
Are the materials wood themselves?
Just positive.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like an LP smart side, something that's more durable and low maintenance. No
Okay.
vinyl, if that's what you're wondering.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Vinyl windows though? Are we doing?
Panel windows?
Most likely, yeah, probably again, like a Marvin Essentials or a vinyl window, yeah.
Symington is what I typically use. They just be like a white vinyl.
All white,
Right.
yes.
White vinyl.
I think that's it for me at this point. Cheryl, thank you.
Yep.
As far as I understand, in the mixed-use zoning district, maximum allowable building footprint is 8,000 square feet. Your proposed building footprint is 13,000 square feet.
No, that's with parking, sorry,
Okay.
yeah, that
Okay.
includes the parking area, I apologize, yeah.
And what is the building?
I shrunk that down and, I'm gonna forget, but I have to admit, I think on our plan. Pardon? It's just under 8,000, yeah, so, I'd have to get you the actual calculation. Yeah, we did shrink that down, it was listed as 8,500 square feet, and we pushed and pulled it in for the submission, to get under 8, so I apologize for that.
What I included as a number.
In the application, right?
The application has the total square footage of 13,105.
The site plan that Joe had produced.
Okay, it must, I was looking really hard for that and I must have just looked right by it.
We checked that number on that plan.
Pretty sure the one I.
Yeah, I just can't find where it is. That was my difficulty.
We have a little legend here on the other site plan.
Oh,
Let me see if I can find that. No, I'm glad you brought that up. I apologize for that. I might have it here.
Yeah, I just went with the only proposed square footage I found listed in the application.
Okay. Yeah. I can forward this to you, Cheryl, if you
Okay.
get it, but yeah, I apologize. I printed out our old version myself, but we're at 8,000 square feet for the building footprint.
exactly.
Exactly 8,000 square feet, yeah.
And what is the footprint for each unit?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, the front unit is the largest one because it's, the front building, but it's probably, I can't even tell you, Bob, if it's the truth off the top of my head. They're 2-story units. They're 16 by 28, 30.
And that
So-
includes the garage.
That includes a garage, yeah. Yeah, so probably 1,200 square feet. Something like that. But don't quote me on that one, I'd have to get that right.
Shrunk it down.
Yeah. Yeah, we made them a little
We
narrower.
recognized that we were over the 8,000 square feet.
You're all set,
Made
brothers?
them a little bit narrower by 8 inches and then 6 inches.
Just to get within that 8,000 square foot footprint.
So to hit that number, didn't make a huge material difference inside space. It was trying to blend with it. Yeah. Could you have any questions? You brought that up.
Oh, am I on?
Sure. You can keep that.
Okay. Are these, how are they gonna be sort of distributed? Are these rental, are these condos, how are they rent?
You know,
That might be in.
long term. Very similar to what I did next door. Yeah. I wanted to make them a little bit nicer, so I wanted to include a garage, so that in the winter time.
That's elevation, but that's evolution
Right.
in Vermont, and have a garage. In my opinion.
So that's why I asked Joe to design something with a garage that is incorporated into the structure. Thought that it would be a solid point. Remind me when those units were sold across the street, about 10 years ago. Appreciate it.
I don't, good right now.
Harry,
I appreciate the design intent and concept and the massing and the fact that you got something that looks relatively small on the street side, you know, versus the rest of the mass going out. I'll start with that. If you can go to the site plan, please. I think my biggest concern for this project is the limited width that you have for getting in and out of those garages. And this is one of the first ones where we're kind of applying some of the newer setbacks and limited requirements, and I get it that you're meeting the parking requirements with, you know, garage spaces. I get the intent of that, but my concern on this one is there's just no additional breathing room. Getting in and out of those garage spaces with what I think is like 21 foot to the,
Well, it's actually 24 from the face of the garage. It's 21 from the stoop, if you will, or the little, quote unquote sidewalk that we have in front of each unit. So it's about 21 foot clear pathway, but it's about 24 feet from property line to base of the building. Which is the equivalent of back-to-back parking lot that you're accustomed to with 90-degree parking. So when we have parking spaces that are back-to-back, typically we try to keep at least 20 feet between, but 24 is ideal.
24 is really important when you're trying to make turning radiuses and things like that.
Yeah.
Tight spaces. And I look at this, I'm like, there's no place to put snow. It is so tight.
Well, if you scroll up a little bit, Cheryl, on that, so Chris also owns the adjacent property. And there's a strip between the property line and that triangular shaped building. Where there's space for snow storage and things like that.
Interesting, okay. So that's an important one.
And in the winter time, I pay somebody to remove snow.
Okay,
It's like that story.
it's interesting. Because I think one of the things that would greatly enhance what we're dealing with here, if you own both properties, if there was some sort of an interconnection between these travelways.
That would be very enticing, but I cannot show that plan. Correct. I have thought about
One of the things in our, you know, in our newer design review standards and criteria is to kind of encourage that kind of thing. And you know, I also think about it's and Kurt, help me, Dave, more experience here with, wasn't it like 1.5 spaces per
well,
unit?
yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Okay. And so now we're at 1 per unit?
According to the state VSA, their interpretation, they made a determination, because this has been a discussion between town zonings and the state's regulations, so. In some cases where the town says if you have a 1-bedroom unit, 1-bedroom dwelling unit, it's 1 space per dwelling unit, if it's 2-bedroom, it's 1.5. But the state determined that they're gonna count a dwelling unit as a dwelling unit regardless of the bedroom count, and require 1 minimum. 1 parking space per dwelling unit. And I think we talked to Cheryl about that too. before we
If you look at number 8, in the staff report, under guiding ordinances, the very bottom of page 2, 24 VSA section 4414.4. And this is the relevant part that applies to a parcel where municipal sewer and water serves it.
And this is something that's come out of like the new Act 47, is that where this is
Yeah.
coming from?
Yep, the new home act.
So speaking on that, obviously you're gonna have more than one car breathing. Right? I mean, if you got a 2-bedroom or if it's a couple or 2 people living there, most people have their own car, right? So where would they park if there's 2 cars breathing?
Or a visitor.
Well, I mean, again, Chris does own the adjacent parcel, which has other parking in it, which has extra spaces. And so I think he can obviously commit to some overflow parking. But obviously our goal and the intent is try to meet at least the minimum requirements within the zoning. Recognizing that this is a kind of a long, narrow lot and trying to maximize the benefit of going it's there, but there is the ability for some overflow parking on the adjacent lot.
How about an easement with some parking just to the above? I'm sorry, I don't know which direction, I wanna say to the west, if you will.
Straight.
Yeah, you know, an easement with some parking above the property line there on the adjacent property, so that there's
So when I.
a little more breathing room at garage doors and, you know, the ability to have a neighbor.
When I
Visitor.
applied for that parcel that's already been developed, triggered Act 250 because Waterbury at the time was one of 3 towns in the state that had instituted in their zoning that anything with a commercial use on over an acre of land automatically triggered Act.
Is that still the case now?
No, that is not the
It's
case.
not, right?
But because they have jurisdiction over that parcel, if I show any activity that connects the two, they would take jurisdiction over the parcel that I'm proposing, and when they do that, it opens you up to, in the biggest one that comes to mind is the roundabout.
Traffic impact.
So the impact fee on that other parcel was like just shy of $10,000. Is what they calculated as the impact that project would have on the roundabout here in Waterbury. And that's what I'm trying to go for. So I'm trying to meet the minimum requirements. I know that I have thought the exact same thoughts that you have thought. That wouldn't this be great if you were to connect, and wouldn't it be great if I was to put parking down the side of that building? I cannot do that right now until this project has been complete.
And how would you be able to do it after it was complete?
Once your project is completed, so I've been told they can't retroactively take jurisdiction. And then it becomes an administrative process in their office where I would have to amend my original permit to show the parking. And the
Need
connection,
an easement,
right, new connection.
because it's a separate person.
So that,
I have been working with Act 250 trying to figure this out. And I have jurisdictional opinions with this plan that shows Act 250 not required. So that's why I'm trying to. And speaking with them, it's like they're very reasonable people in my experience in dealing with them. And it's like they say that this is the kind of development that they want to make. Right, it's like I've talked to Susan, I've talked to Kevin Anderson, and it's like they both have said, you know, we want development to occur in an area that's serviced by municipal water and walkable. It's close to a downtown. Right now, housing is a.
But we're gonna create a permit mechanism that makes it so that you really can't have functional parking and snow removal.
Right.
And ironically, over the past year and a half, we've had several conversations, and this isn't to throw anybody under the bus, but with this town included, where people have started to, I'd say, diminish, if not even dismiss, any requirements for parking for the trade-off of trying to establish housing. And obviously, we're not trying to avoid that. We're trying to provide at least the minimum required parking spaces. But we recognize from a practical standpoint that it's possible that there could be more than one car per unit. we happen to be a situation where the landowner owns the adjacent parcels and has the ability to grant permission to park on the other property as well. So we feel confident that that would satisfy that immediate concern.
Is there a workaround?
I don't know if we have a legitimate workaround other than to be straightforward and transparent with you guys and
Well,
just
you
say.
guys are, and I appreciate that, but I'm like saying to myself, okay, so. If they're gonna make it this impossible for the town to actually have a functional little parking space and 9 units of apartment housing that we all desire and need. How about if we do something like, we have a development agreement that says that this is like what you gotta do in order to go through your permitting burden, but after you are. Constructed, you will. Implement the necessary cross connection and additional parking to provide a little more breathing room and stuff. And we'll do that as part of a development agreement outside of what you guys are saying you need to do in order to get your permits.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not an attorney and I don't even want to pretend to be one.
I know, but we don't wanna
But-
get stuck with, there's no
Right.
place to park and it's snow and the people are all over the place. 'Cause there's no
Agreed.
place
I think
to-
snow removal's not an issue because I think Chris can accommodate snow removal.
As long as he continues to own both parcels.
Sure, understood. And that can be a condition of the parcel if you want to say snow removal has to be maintained regardless, it's.
How about if it's a
Permit.
condition in our permits, like maybe it's not even a development agreement, but a condition in
that's
our
what I'm saying.
permits that the interconnect is made.
So that's where I get a
can't do
little
that.
nervous, because if you have a condition in your permit, then that permit holds some teeth if we were to be audited by, say, the Act 50 Commission. If they say, well, we're obligated under a town permit to provide something on an adjacent parcel.
But
then
the
they
flip
could-
side
they
is we're
could-
being asked to accept something that's got some functional challenge.
That's challenge.
I
but-
could see someone, wanting to run in and, feed the dog and park right in front of their parking space and then no one else can get into their unit.
Well, I mean, I
And
definitely.
pull up to the garage door and boom, you can't get by.
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly could happen.
Yeah.
But I think that there's ample space for vehicles to get past, even if there's a vehicle parked there. But it's not easy, it's tight, for sure,
It's really tight.
so I see that.
Well, I'm just probing it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we're certainly understanding exactly where you're coming from, and, the statements are just as transparent and as forward as we can be to let you know that we're trying to work within the minimum statute. It says that, Charles Ron?
That's secondary drive satisfies. I can't submit this.
So let me ask this, what does it mean to get an Act 250 permit in this new environment for doing what would be better from a function standpoint?
It opens you up to all the extra.
You got an impact fee assessment.
And when you're trying to build something in a cost effective manner so that you can rent it to people for a reasonable amount, it's like I'm trying to avoid that.
Possible.
Nothing
Yeah.
nothing like the state trying to encourage housing, huh?
Long term, it's like, as we all know, it's like, once you're in jurisdiction, you can't ever get out of it. So if they change their regs and it changes other things, then it can be compounded.
Aren't you automatically kind of in because it's contiguous parcel?
What's technically.
As long as
legal,
it's
different
residential,
ownership.
they gave me a determination that. If it had a commercial use, then yes, Act 50 would be involved. But if they said because of the new regulations, that it's 100% residential, they're not. And I had two different opinions. People that gave me that. 'Cause initially, I was working with Kevin Anderson, and then his territory became St. Johnsbury, that office. And, Susan Baird took over for this area.
So that was one of my major concerns. The other one is I'd love to have you explain to us what your intent is for mechanicals.
Heat pump, electric heat pump
Yeah, where?
in the attic spaces.
And where are the condenser units and everything else gonna be? Are we gonna end up with them front and center? They're gonna,
They would be on the
They'd be wall mounted on that south side, which is the bottom side of the building, quote unquote, back of the building.
So one per unit.
bringing it, and I'm toying around with the idea because I like
One
radiant
condense
first. to do like a domestic hot water heater that would source. Yeah, radiant for the main living space.
So would that be in a mechanical room somewhere?
No, but we'd use local hot water heater primarily within the units, because it would just be a circulation zone for the radiant heat. In the garage spaces, we typically not that.
Can you explain to me what the square is in just?
I don't know. Where? Oh, it's just the overhead door.
Yeah, that's where.
So the door, it's just a symbol that represents the door when it's open. Sorry,
Oh.
It rolls up.
yeah, it rolls up inside the garage.
Got it, so, and this one has has two.
That's two cars, yeah, the front unit has two, that's what makes the 10 total units, even though we need 9,
Got it.
so.
Yep.
Kind of throw Harry an extra parking space there.
There's real tension I want to offer between our 2016 zoning regulations and our uniform bylaw kind of update for the village south of 89 and stuff that's embedded in the statute with Act 47 that everything doesn't line up sometimes, because like really, we gotta be worried about circulation and parking in this one. This supplements this one,
Correct.
but then there's statute that maybe blows it all away. Right? That's what we're really dealing with at this point, I think.
Yes, and we feel that pain on every.
Cheryl is.
I told you zoning is a
Did
party.
we hit it right there? I mean, that really,
This is my everyday. Back and forth between the two.
So, I just had a question, the commercial property with the office building. That space between that and the proposed project, is that a lawn space right now? Correct.
That can't be.
It's not on the parcel that we're discussing.
Right.
The physical property line
I mean,
separates
it
our.
could be
paved,
paved,
yeah.
but that's not. Right now.
One, options. Permeable.
Yeah.
Versus. permeable.
is that intended to be some sort of a stormwater infiltration area?
It is now, and the new building is gonna offer up a series of gutters that will be rain leader to a catch basin that's just up in that north corner. Right next to the 429 number, if you can see that up in the middle left, sorry, middle right. Yeah, just to your left, Louis, it's right to the right of that.
Right there.
There's a little catch basin there, so the plan is to tie in a gutter system to that existing stormwater system.
And then it drains out towards the interstate?
Correct. Yeah.
For the pond.
No, the other way.
Butler Pond is on the left of the screen.
Right.
Across the road, but that storm drain currently drains to the right of that page towards the interstate.
Oh.
Where it goes from there, I don't know, if I know.
Where it goes from there is it follows a ditch down next to the interstate and then crosses underneath Route 2. Just the side of Arrows, but ultimately it ends up.
Butler Pond.
So we could actually probably do something with any possible approval here that might include things like requiring easements for connection and additional parking spaces as a condition of the zoning permit.
I don't think, the intent is to avoid Act 250, then no.
Well,
I think
that's your intent. Our intent is to have a better functioning site plan.
Right, so what about if Chris was to commit to a letter allowing overflow parking in the adjacent parking lot that exists now?
And I 100% agree with you, I just wanna state
Yeah.
that. Right
As
up front.
I'm looking for a workaround here to work
Right,
with you
so
and still get to where we need to
If he
be.
was to submit a letter saying that that property would allow overflow parking as needed.
How many spaces do you have over
I don't
there?
know.
There's 38 paved parking spaces.
How many units on that? This,
But
that's 9 also?
But it also serves the office building.
the office building,
Again, there's ample, there's plenty of empty spaces. in
I've never had a complaint.
So if you did that, would you label parking spaces with unit numbers?
So I haven't, and my reasoning for that is the office building.
Okay.
Typically, they're there during the day.
Right.
Tenants, the majority of my tenants are not there during. So I want the office to feel free to park anywhere they want during the daytime. And then tenants park anywhere they want at nighttime. Okay, and I've never had a complaint parking.
So anyway, I offered that up here just because I know that I did it for my building on 25 Crossroads when they built the hotel. They had a very similar conversation where they needed like 86 spaces and they could only show 80. So because we're a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 business, and we had 10 parking spots, we created a letter and the town accepted that as an agreement that they could overflow park on weekends and holidays and during heavy use days, because there's plenty of times during the week, the hotel is not at peak capacity, so 80 spaces is a ton of spaces. But during holidays and ski season and weekends, they use our parking lot. So it's just, that's a concept that keeps the easement word out of it and kind of keeps, a condition is fine. If you wanna have a condition that says Chris will provide a letter saying that there's overflow parking is being available at the adjacent lot. I think I believe that would meet the intent of satisfying you guys, that there's a commitment to have parking available. But it keeps kind of I don't know, like I said, I'm not an attorney, and I don't want to play, just thinking of ways that we've done it in the past that has seemed to.
I know it's different times of the day, but do you know on average how many people are at the office building every day? Does that vary?
I'm sure it varies. I have no idea.
Okay, so just say you have 18 for the 9 units, because some people must have 2 runs. Not saying they all do,
Right.
but just say, for example, they all do. And then there's 6 to 10 people at the office space, so that still leaves at least 10 if you have 38 spaces for the new building. Right. Because, I mean, almost every place you see, people are gonna have one. Especially if it's, not always, but a 2-bedroom unit.
And I
it'd be
think-
pretty likely.
Like the new, I forget what the act number's called, but.
47, the Home Act.
Right, they say that part of the one space requirement is that you're located within a quarter mile of public parks. And I'm located with, I don't think it's realistic to think your tenants are gonna walk a quarter mile.
No, I don't think so.
That's per the new state standard, is that you're within a quarter mile and I'm within a quarter mile of the post office. Or anything on that road or the Anderson.
So another question on that, if they did access the parking at the adjacent lot, how would they get their walking space? Where would that go?
I mean, there's sidewalks.
Out on
They,
the front?
I mean, realistically, they're
Or
gonna
across
walk
the back.
anywhere. Summertime, they're just gonna go across the lawn.
Yeah, okay.
But wintertime, if there was snow there, then.
Go out front.
Right.
On the sidewalk.
If you put a sidewalk between them, that triggers that easement.
Yeah, right, yeah. Any physical construction across that property line, I think, throws us into
So, next question.
a mandatory response.
What would your drain do? Because I'm assuming it's gonna be guttered from the new project, but then it's gonna be buried to that catch basin, right? Is that gonna trigger that?
I don't think it will. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think it will, because we're using it as a utility connection. I mean, there's utility connections that cross those property lines now, so. It's a great question, but it doesn't seem like that would trigger jurisdiction.
Like my power is gonna have to come across a pole to get.
Right, 'cause you're
located
gonna-
on that other parcel.
You get a connect from there,
Yeah.
So you gotta,
But as separately titled lots, you're gonna have kind of easements. You have to have crossing easements there. One lot could be sold tomorrow.
Yeah, for a utility easement, but I think a utility easement is a little different than providing, regulatory required construction like park. Because like we said, I mean, there's power.
Can the lots be combined?
No, because again, that then throws this lot into active jurisdiction. That's what we're trying to avoid, is combining those two lots.
I'm so surprised by the value of the impact fee that you've implied here. I'm often really surprised with how low the impact fees are that the state is saying they need to charge for,
That's
like
just one.
the top notch. Top notch, they're charging like $2,900 for the impact fee associated with the development, and you guys are 4 times that amount for something that we really need.
It's the whole thing, I go down a huge rabbit hole about that roundabout. When we did Sun Common and we did Henry Burroughs, they wanted to get 60 grand from each of them for an impact fee. And the roundabout had already been fully funded and paid for. And projected for 30 years of traffic impact. But yet they're still, and they didn't even actually, like, I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole, but the state didn't even have a law in place to enforce it, but yet they did. So they ended up negotiating a lower fee, but the first bill they got was 60,000. That's crazy. So anyway, yeah, I think that's kind of our thought, Harry, that we hear you, and I think if the board's willing to consider a condition that says the property owner will commit to overflow spaces on the adjacent property, I think that's a great way to compromise and meet your needs, make sure that there's stuff that's.
How do we implement it though? And I mean, so that in the wintertime. That, people aren't really, there's, for instance, a pedestrian access. How do we get it implemented? So that there's something that's
The
maintained.
town maintains that sidewalk.
Well, I'm like looking over here.
But the sidewalk that is next to the street is town maintained.
I get that.
Well, I
Then
think.
then you're gonna trigger Act 50.
Well, then to Chris's point, I mean, again, according to the Act 47, I mean. They developed these parking lot requirements based on the assumption that if you can provide public parking within a certain distance, which in their infinite wisdom is a quarter mile. Right. Then you're allowed to have 1 space per dwelling unit. And we have the same conversation. It's like most households are gonna have 2 cars, but the state says. If there's a place within a quarter mile where people can park their car, that's gonna meet their need for downtown housing development, right? Which is. Nobody wants a quarter. People don't wanna walk across the street if they don't have to, but.
And I would have to look back, but I think that even that quarter mile condition is for lots not served by municipal sewer and water.
It could be, and this one.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was a condition or two, and I think that was one of them for where municipal sewer and water infrastructure was not serving the parcel. But that did not apply to this property.
So what would happen if, you decided to sell the commercial? Would you have to put that in the deed that? Would have to,
Yeah, no, it's a
yeah,
great question.
you would have to put that in a deed that's part of the deal.
I think you would.
I think you would have to create an association that was responsible for the maintenance of the parking areas. So then the new owner of that building would be part of an association. And that the combined parking was,
Instead of doing Chris Millis.
Right.
As the janitor of the.
Right.
the parking, okay.
because as it is now, like I haven't designated commercial spaces, right? So if I was to ever sell it, the only way that makes sense is that if you create an association, you say, all right, here's how much everybody has to chip in for basically driveway maintenance.
Right, okay, but there's, like in the center, there is, well, yeah, okay, got it. Never mind.
Can I ask a question? What
Yeah,
about
go
trash?
ahead.
Say that again?
Trash pickup? Are we planning for a dumpster?
trash pickup?
No, each unit has a garage, Alex, so the expectation is that receptacles will be kept in the garages. And obviously tenants will be responsible for trash removal. It doesn't mean that they won't schedule like a Casella to come in once a week and pull their cans out of their garages to be picked up, but everything would be contained inside the garages.
So it'd be up to it'd be the responsibility of the tenant.
Yeah, unless Chris wants to do a weekly trash pickup and they haul their cans out of their garage for the day to pick them up, kind of thing.
Trash by summer, snow by winter.
Did you have to get a curb cut from the state?
I didn't, it's within the town, like the state highway ends just north of Bristol,
Yep.
it's like in between myself and Barrows. So I do have to get a curb cut from the town, that was the whole curb cut. I mean, there was already a curb cut there for the existing house, something to move it, but. So I don't know exactly what paperwork is required there, but probably.
Yeah, it actually goes through the highway department. I don't even see curb cut stuff. But yeah, the current, the current driveway is actually, like the building would be sitting on it.
Okay,
In the dashed lines underneath this footprint, that's where the old house was and then the garage behind it. So they're labeled on this plan, just to show you the relative location.
so basically where the curb cut is now would be made into sidewalk, like.
Yeah, I mean, a sidewalk would go right in front of it.
Curb cut, right, from. Any board members have any more questions?
I don't think so. I would be in favor of going to a deliberative session, but
I was gonna suggest that. So,
I almost want to suggest that we continue this one. I personally feel that way. Can we still continue it and go into deliberative session tonight, or is it not appropriate to go into deliberative session to close the public hearing?
I think if we continue it, I believe it's closed till we reopen the hearing, correct? Then we would have to do deliberative session after that.
I think so.
I think we can continue it in deliberative session though.
Oh,
Okay. That's where Dave would know the answer to that. And I don't.
I mean, I think we frequently ask for more materials while we're
Yeah.
in deliberative session, and that is a continuance.
Well, we have to create a condition anyway for the parking, which is just gonna be requiring the letter, we have to put that.
Right.
Asking for more materials is not necessarily a continuance. So for example, we asked for more materials for both Foundry and Batch Elder. And still just made those more materials a condition of the permit.
Right,
So-
so the permit could be issued at the time when we get those.
Right.
Yep. Okay, well, I think
I'd be in
we
favor
are
of
gonna have to-
continuing it.
What's that, Alex?
I would be in favor of continuing it if that's what the group wants. And then obviously we can't talk about it in deliberative session, but we could talk about it in deliberative session after it's been continued.
Probably ought to get a clarification on that, because I tend to agree, Alex, that once you go to deliberate session, I believe, in order to go to deliberative session, I believe the public process has to be closed. Not that you can't reopen it, but then that's a whole another process. So if you continue it, then that would suggest you can't go into deliberative session until after. Which is fine, if you wanna continue it, we can come back with additional materials, that you request, and then. You know, obviously the goal tonight hopefully was to try to get you guys to. Close the process and go to deliberative session, but if there's enough concern on the board's behalf, then we'll do whatever you need.
So speaking as a board member that relies heavily on someone who's not here for specifically these type of projects. I would really feel comfortable to have Dave look this all over, because I know he hasn't yet. And he has given no suggestions on what he thought of this, because he's out of town today. So I think a continuance would be your favor and ours.
And I'd like to just flag for you for something for you guys to think about and maybe come back for us, because I think we're hoping for a solution. Under the multifamily 5 dwelling plus units, there's some specific language about pedestrian access, multi-unit residential buildings shall be designed with pedestrian access from sidewalk, streets, etc. Parking areas in residential areas, residential entrances to service areas. I think trying to find out the connection that you say you intend. I get it that there's this permitting thing, but we gotta figure out a workaround.
Sure, but as we said, there is a public sidewalk that runs along the face of these buildings and connects the parking lots.
I'd really love to suggest that you know, something that's like one way in and circling back out, so that you have some space to breathe in here. Or maybe some parking spaces that are on the property to the north. That, you know, provide some real functional parking for these units and being able to get in and out of these spaces without projecting into the travel lanes. I don't know, I understand that there's some peculiarities with what you're trying to accomplish with Act 250 permitting. We want to get to the solution, but in my mind, I think I would be recommend framing up that, you know, it includes some sort of a condition for cross easements. Use the word in the decision. You guys can decide if you can accept that or not, but you know, this playing poker with Act 250. Then we're gonna end up with something that we live with forever.
Right, yeah, no, I
It's not working.
totally get it, and again, we're just, obviously, we struggle all the time as designers and developers, because as you pointed out so eloquently. Towns and states don't seem to want to align their jurisdictions and their regulations, and the state suggests one set of language which we meet. And then the towns, obviously, language isn't necessarily an agreement with that.
Yeah,
And that makes it difficult
Harder.
to choose which path is the path. We also, in this particular case. There's a very real connection between the two properties, and you know, the parking lot is literally where Cheryl's cursor is now on that screen.
that's exactly why it's a perfect opportunity to get it worked out now.
So it's like, you know, but I think that, again, my point being that. The reality of people being able to be accommodated on the site, it feels like the reality is there, and that it does meet. It certainly meets the language of the state's regulations.
And I've had these conversations, Sheriff.
But what I'll offer Joe there in response is that the state's not gonna get the call when the parking's like all over the place, because it's Christmas and there's no place for people to park.
Understood,
still
but if
state
people are calling
regulated.
Christmas, Harry, then I'm gonna have a problem.
I mean, they'll be out on the road. They'll be out on the road. they'll
But
be-
I, like, to that point, I do meet the state minimum.
Correct.
And the town's minimum requirements.
I think that if. I think I can speak for the board when we're all pretty much in favor of this project. We just want to make sure to get it right. So
Oh,
we don't end up with a mess.
100% agree, and I agree with Harry.
Okay.
I have thought that through many times. I've had
It's a
those
tough spot.
conversations with Cheryl.
I like the building. I like what you're trying to do. I think we just want to make sure to get this issue right. And we may have a list, like add the letter, right, that you will allow parking at the other sites.
I think that we could use some more like site details, grading, floor elevations, basic utilities. You mentioned you're gonna have gutters and downspouts connecting onto other property. Right?
I mean, I was doing that as a courtesy to the board
What's
to
that?
show stormwater, but I was in conversations with my civil engineer this morning or this afternoon. And he says that parcels under a half acre of land don't require stormwater.
For the state, but not for site plan approval. Or
So-
you don't need a state stormwater permit. I
Correct.
concur with that,
Right.
but we do,
And
you do
again, I
need
want to
site
do it the
plan.
right way. I'm not. It's not done.
That's understood.
And I have thought a lot about the parking. I have a solution for the parking. But,
Help us get to implement it and we're all together.
oh, I would not. I want to implement it right now, but I can't.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? There's gotta be a workaround
It's
there.
horrible. It's not just weird, it's
I
horrible.
wanna say, you know. Maybe it's a separate development agreement. It's just a separate agreement between you and the town that says that after you get through your permitting thing, you make this connection and you create, maybe it is an association, is that even?
Cause
something
I've
you-
talked about the connection piece, and to me, it's more safety.
Well, how about,
Like in
is there any logic to doing some sort of an association that,
I think once you develop this parcel, it's,
okay,
and to me, it's a safety thing, because right now my dumpsters, the other parcel are located in the back.
okay,
So a trash truck, when they pull in, has to drive all the way in, dump, and then back all the way out to the street. So to me,
Yeah.
the safety thing would be if you connect those two parking lots, a trash truck and back into that turnaround essentially. And then drive out to the street,
how about like a draft
fire
declaration
truck.
document?
same thing. But I can't
If you're gonna be
show,
allowed to, do after the project's developed, I think 100%, you have the commitment that that would happen. It's just prior to that, I think any legal connection between the properties is going to be a road into Act 250. We all know how the roads are paid.
So
I mean, I could show you a drawing that has exactly what you're talking about on.
I
But I
believe you.
can't, that's not what, that's not my
submit it to-
application.
I hear you, I hear you, it's interesting, how we're in this like. Almost a weird world this way, isn't it? Huh, almost maddening. All right, I'll shut up.
I mean, if this is not what I'm presenting to the board, but just to show you that I have thought this through. This is that plan that I'm talking. In the, which is exactly what
There you go. Boy, that looks so much more comfortable. Thank you for sharing that.
Chris, have you talked to an attorney about what you could get away with without triggering?
I mean, I've
Act
talked to
250?
the people at Act 250, and I mean, it's not a huge project in the grand scheme of things. So I'm trying to keep it as simple for everybody as possible. And,
Well, it's not tiny.
In the
It's
grand
not-
scheme of
it's
things,
not-
it's- right. Right. To the town of Waterbury, absolutely. And that was their point. They said, anything that you show me that connects the two parcels, we're gonna determine that. Requires that.
So this is much better.
So they said, if you can show me just a plan that doesn't have any connection between the two parcels. Our determination is that you're not gonna need. it. And then the determination for Act 250, it opens you up to the transportation impact fees. And it's also the process of going through that, which also takes another, permit application fee. On top of any impact fees that.
Well, not to mention it could take,
Yeah, it could take a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't think it would, but
But you're exposed to those potentials.
And
And-
even if and an agreement itself would still trigger it, nothing on paper or on a plan, but an agreement,
Are you asking if that would?
if that would trigger Act 250? If there was a
But
document
I'm just
saying,
careful, Alex, that a permit issued by the town is a document that is a legal document that the state can obviously put their hands on. So if there's a condition within the permit for this project that simply says,
Must connect.
I, Chris Noyes, who owns the adjacent property, will allow overflow parking for this property on that land, then I think that gives you that kind of way out without connecting the two projects
Right.
physically.
And that's why I'm showing you right here what meets the minimum requirement for all the regulations.
It may be a good idea for you to get a legal, a legal stamp on that. Just so that we know and you know that that is. gonna
What am
protect you,
what am I getting a state on?
That it won't, that it won't trigger, that agreement won't make you
Oh.
vulnerable.
I mean, I can draft something and then propose it to and then can give me a jurisdictional opinion, but I mean, that's the. Like you submit it to Susan Baird or whoever, and then they give you their opinion, they call it jurisdictional, but they'll tell you that, yes, this would trigger Act 50 or no, this stuff.
Yeah, I think honestly, saying is that you might want to just call your attorney, but just say, hey.
This is the letter, what is your, what is
Well,
your?
ultimately,
We're
it's
not
there,
lawyers.
right, no,
Yeah.
and I get that, but
Yeah.
ultimately it comes down to Act 50. how to do it.
Right.
Right, but
So
if you
whether-
have standing to keep it out of Act 250, you have legal standing.
Right, but that's where that jurisdictional opinion. So if I went to Susan Baird and I said, hey, look. They want to make sure there's overflow parking. If I give this project an easement. That says, any overflow parking could use some parking spaces over here. In your opinion, would that trigger Act 50? And she'll either tell me yes.
That'd be nice to know.
That would be good, that would be really good information. But do you want to make yourself vulnerable?
Well, I mean, they've already given.
I mean,
They've
they've already told
jurisdictional
this
opinion on
plan.
this project, so they're aware of this project.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah,
So that,
I don't think you'd be opening yourself. I think it's a legitimate.
It's just a question
Yeah.
saying, is that an option for
Yeah,
us?
we could say Harry's.
And she know, like I showed her that exactly. Say that.
And, yeah, we're
She
trying
would
to,
appreciate
trying to
that.
find a way around.
So if I can just understand here on the parking issue, right? So the state statute says we may not require, a municipality shall not require more than one parking space per dwelling unit in any district that is served by municipal water and sewer infrastructure that allows residential uses. And
Or is it may?
shall.
Okay.
And the measurements here are for the two-way drive are the equivalent of what you would get in a standard parking lot. No? Yes?
Yes. From the face of the
Parking coming
building.
in and out.
From the face of the building,
Not with the stoop.
not with the stoop, but where the,
20-foot lane between perpendicular parking. But
and
yeah.
if we're being real with the gargantuan vehicles that sit in those parking lots at, for example, Shaw's, they're sticking out more than they're encroaching on whatever. Okay, so I'm just trying to I'm trying to make sure we've got the facts here and we have the state statute that says the municipality shall not require more than one parking space. I want to know, I would like for us to be able to cite in our ordinances or state law why it is we are looking to make sure there is a more than the one required. Because if we don't, that might not be the end of this discussion.
How far?
I understand the concerns.
I would offer that well, for me, I'll say for me,
Or
it's not so much a
face of the
parking.
building?
Sorry, Alex.
Yep, it's not so much parking. We got you.
I think it's the flow of traffic and, a trash truck backing up onto Route 2. I think that's kind of a burdensome ask to put on a busy highway like that. So I understand the parking situation, but I think it's also just the
But
flow
this
of the
parcel
entire.
would be cans that they would have to bring to the street.
Right, the parcel would be cans that they have to bring to the street.
Oh,
Or disposable themselves.
Unit 9's gonna walk their trash cans all the way.
Honestly, I think the circulation point is still valid.
Yeah,
I'm a
for me,
little concerned
yeah,
about-
maybe it's not specific to the trash, but it's a circulation issue for me.
I'm a little concerned about people coming off their stoop into the traffic zone, and not having,
Well, it's really not traffic, right? I mean, it's just a
no,
driveway.
but I'm just,
Sure.
calling it that. Just to designate it from the pedestrian, stepping out of your house and out to the sidewalk that's there.
Well, that's why those so the entryways are recessed into the building and the sidewalks give that extra. So you step out of your front door onto a porch,
Right.
which is 4 feet deep, and then you step down into this 4 foot little sidewalk protrusion thing.
So.
So if you look
I
at the
guess-
floor plan,
Yeah, I guess elevations would be,
so basically, on the first floor, there's a recessed door that steps out onto a porch. And then that steps down into that 5 foot little island sidewalk that's shown in site plan.
Oh.
So you're not walking out your door onto the driveway.
Oh.
Walking out
That's
onto a
helpful.
porch stoop, and then you step down and that's on the side.
Right.
Yeah,
so you're stepping down like that onto asphalt. If you
from
were-
your porch,
Or pavement,
yeah, just like a siding, yeah,
or like concrete
concrete
sidewalk,
walk, yeah.
would be a small.
Right, but once you're off that, you're in the driveway.
You're
Just like any other sidewalk, right, yeah.
Is the whole building electric? Is there any propane?
It's designed as all electric, yes.
Okay. I didn't see a tank, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well. I feel that the board feels that we want to continue this.
I think it's one that worthy of more thinking. Yeah, I don't know if I've got a
Should we get it
specific
right?
task list for
But then to Harry's point, and actually more to Cheryl's point, it's if you required an easement, not an easement,
I mean, if it's a.
but if you're holding me to a higher standard than what the state says I should be held to.
Right.
well,
And so I don't know that. And that's just looking at it from my perspective. I do 100% agree with you. But I think you get into a gray area there where you're requiring me to provide something that is above what the state says should be allowed.
In other words, that we're constructively violating the statute by making you have more than one parking spot. It's a very fair point.
I don't,
To that, Alex says, well, this is about ingress and egress and safety. It is a fair point, but I think this board needs to be concerned about that.
I'm not saying that that's where I don't want to speak for the board, but my sense is that it's not necessarily something that we think we're going to require. It's just something we want to discuss more. And I think we rely on our fellow board members' expertise to help come up with solutions and answers and thoughts and questions. And that's my reason for wanting to continue this specific meeting.
I just would be hesitant if you came back and said we require documentation that allows for overflow parking. That then is holding me to a higher standard than what the state says is allowed.
well, it doesn't necessarily have to be an easement. It could be a letter written to the town saying, hey, this will be overflow parking if our tenants need it.
But then again, if you're still holding me to, if I didn't own that parcel next door, you're still holding me to that higher standard than what the state requires.
I get it. But we've had a ton of other projects in town, and I know the regs have changed from the state. But we've always required 1.5 spaces per unit because there's always more than one car here.
But I think like to the documentation that Cheryl has provided, the state says that in an area serviced by municipal water and sewer. That the state wants to allow for more
Right.
dense development.
Yep.
And that is like, that's kind of going to the nature of what that Act 47 there. So
For the parking standard, we agree.
I 100% agree with
We
you.
don't agree on the site plan standards, and that's not dictated state law.
Which site plan standard, but are you referring to
Parking,
other than parks?
stuff that's in the old code. Parking, circulation, stuff like that. We get it that it's only 1, not 1.5. It's the circulation, really. In my mind.
But I mean, they design driveways like this.
All the time,
So.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of independent parcels that don't have interconnectivity. That are numerous units deep, and it's a dead end driveway into the units and out. There's probably multiple.
With
examples right
practical
now.
space for visitors to park.
Not necessarily, especially not in downtown areas. In downtown areas, you know, we fall victim all the time to Main Street parking spaces. Being the parking required for tenant spaces. You know, and then I think that's what the state's trying to encourage in these infill developments and, you know, in downtowns and in village centers. Not a lot of parcels have the ability to even have parking on it, and this is, they rely on street parking for their parking. In this particular case, like if we didn't have the garages to provide the 9 spaces, you know, we'd be looking at potentially parallel parking outside these buildings. Or something like that, so. Yeah, I think it's quite common in downtowns not to have parcels that have their own parking on site because they're trying to maximize the density of the building on the property. We have this exact same example down on 55 South Main Street that we're working on as well, which got approved prior. It's not as many units, but it's the exact same kind of configuration. It's one way in and one way out of the parking lot, but. I think it's very common, and we don't disagree that it's tighter than we'd all want it to be, but it
We don't disagree that
technically
it's not.
meets the requirements.
Okay, so this is a crazy thought. Just crazy thought. What if you did it better?
Well, the boundary line adjustment again, Act 250 has jurisdiction over that parcel.
Right, so that's.
So.
So if you, yeah, understood, but yeah, if you move that line that way.
I've
this
tried
side of that line,
everything.
It's within jurisdiction. Oh, good question.
Bye.
It's a good question.
And again, connecting anything to ordinance or even precedent in terms of what this board has approved. Circulation, safety of traffic flow might be a concern, but as soon as that conversation starts talking about adequacy of parking within that circulation, we're veering into that state statute. If there are other projects in town that have been approved with similar flow in and out of a dead end driveway of similar dimensions, we're looking at precedent that this board has made. Again, just to note where the openings might be that that could be used on an appeal, quite
So-
frankly.
So what happened to, I know this was something that was happening years ago. When somebody else was charged, but is, when you have contiguous parcels, they were always combined.
The owners are listed just separately.
Oh, in this one?
They're separate, they are under separate owners by name. Yep.
Thank you.
And that, again, in their opinion, was that as long as it's 100% residential. That Act 250 would be withdrawn. If I had a commercial use, because of the close proximity, they would come 100%. And like Susan was telling me, she goes, this is the kind of development we want to encourage from the state.
I'm gonna say again, I think. The board is with you on this project. We just wanna make sure to get it right, which direction we go.
And I think we agree on how to make it right. I just can't show you that.
No, I get that completely. Myself personally, I would feel way more comfortable. If Dave put his eyeballs on this. And he's gonna come up with the same thing that we are, saying that. This is all they can do here. Go with the one space and not have to worry about anything else. But I would really like to have Dave look at this.
I would
He could even look at it
second.
in the next couple of days.
But then it's still another month before we can get a decision, right?
April 7th. What's the first? Oh, no, April 1st. April 1st is the next, technically, first and third Wednesdays of the month.
We've also. Expedited decisions too. We could look at it. And make a decision that night. Have something written up the next day. Done that before as well.
Well, no disrespect, but obviously at the beginning of the meeting, you advised us that you're only gonna have 5 members here, and we needed 4 affirmative votes for a positive decision, and gave the applicant the opportunity to continue if he wanted to.
Correct.
I feel like having to wait on another board member to come and attend kind of contradicts that option, and I totally hear what you're saying, so please don't take this the wrong way, I feel like you folks are certainly capable of understanding, I mean, everybody understands the situation, there's no doubt about that, and I respect the fact that you're trying to come to the right decision, but if we're only continuing it because we don't feel like we have the right board members involved in the discussion, then that feels like that might be a little unfair to the applicant, but I just want to make sure that same thing with policy, right, that you gave them the opportunity to continue it before, and he chose to go through the process, and now if it's only because of another board member, then I would feel weird
Well,
about
that's
that.
just my opinion.
But if the board just feels they need to continue it because they need more information, that would.
I would also like a clarification on the expedited decision, because if this is a continuance that, to the best of my understanding, which could be incorrect, that is a continuance of the public hearing.
Correct, but
And so-
it could be expedited after the next meeting,
Correct.
not in 2
Right,
days. from
right,
now.
right, right.
So if it
But
was
we
on
have
April-
45 days after we close the hearing to make a decision.
Correct.
But the next possible meeting date to continue this is April 1st.
Good.
I was trying not to go there. We already made enough terrible jokes about the owl today.
Well, I'll go around the room. Brooks, what's your thoughts?
I am prepared to vote and I'm not prepared to vote. I would like to go into executive session right now.
Okay. Alex, what do you say?
I'll go with Brooks. I think I'd be ready to go into
Okay.
delivery session.
Monica?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
You know, I'm kind of hung up on this. People stepping out of the front doors, and I'm thinking like somebody with a stroller. And it's just about safety, and. You know, how can we, separate the driveway from a walkway? That's,
Pour like basically it would be flush with pavement, but you could pour a sidewalk down through the front of each of those garage doors.
you know, just to designate, so that people aren't, you know, I don't know, I'm just.
You probably do a marking thing also.
Yeah, I mean, let it-
I'm just, that just feels like a safety issue that is
and maybe
easily
I'm
remedied.
right, and maybe I'm just not being clear, so let me just draw a quick, bigger plan for you. So right now, Monica, the way it's drawn is this is the front door into the unit. So you step out onto a porch, that's 4 or 5 feet deep, okay? Then there is a concrete walkway in front of that sticks out another 4 feet. So somebody with a stroller can come out onto their porch, and then they can step down onto the concrete sidewalk. And they're not in the driveway yet.
Right.
So it's like stepping out of anybody else's front door onto the sidewalk. It's the exact same scenario.
I get that, but. when you have Cars that
Yeah,
are in that tight of a space
Yeah.
to move back and forth, or you have, you know, a big vehicle that comes in. I just feel like between these spaces needs to be designated as pedestrian rather than, you know, where somebody could swing their car in or.
yeah,
Or-
well,
or-
so these are the garage doors. So these are where cars will pull in on each side of these islands. So it's no different than any other townhouse configuration that we've seen. So I apologize, yeah, no, so these little kind of islands, if you will, are every doorway, but then the garage doors are then between those. So that's what you see here. So these stoops are outboard that. It's not shown on the floor plan, but it's on a site. They stick out past the corners.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm confused.
Yeah, no, sorry for that. Yeah, it's not. So when you look at this guy right here,
Yeah.
the door to the house is actually going here.
I get that.
And then
that's
this guy
not-
sticks out.
That's not my issue.
Yeah.
It's just, I want people to be able to feel safe
Yep.
to that.
Yep.
Sidewalk.
And again, the person coming out this door is the person that is in that garage too. You know what I'm saying? So these are the residents of that building. So it's, again, it's not like a public street. These are just the 9 units, the people that live here.
So what about this person who just wants to get down to here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So they'll have to walk in front of those, just like any other townhouse that you,
Okay.
and you get to the sidewalk starts right here. You go to the street. Yeah.
I don't know, just like-
Sorry, that was-
No, well, I'm just, maybe I'm catastrophizing, but I'm just thinking of like kids on bikes who are clueless and, you know, so I'm just going like, how can we make it clear that there's a safe zone for that? So that nobody, I mean, that, no, so no tragedy. I mean, we've had plenty of stories about, you know, garbage trucks backing up over a child, who's, you know, so I'm just thinking safety.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay, thank you.
So getting back to the question. If we go to deliberative session, are you prepared to vote tonight?
I'd like to, I like the project, I think it's important, from all of our. I'm saying, I just don't know if I want to.
Do you have any more?
Ask any questions.
I know, I'm, maybe deliberation is the place to do it.
How do you feel, Harry?
I would like some more time. I would like to not go into the session and close the hearing at this time. I'd like to ask for some more site details, finished floors, grading, utilities, so that we can buy more time. I'd like to think about it.
What would you like to see in addition on the site?
The site plan is basically just a plan drawing. There's no grading. We don't know what the finished floor elevation is. There's no utilities shown at all. Well, maybe there's a water failure shown.
Again, I mean, we're bringing water to the building. There's sewer at the street that we're connecting to directly to the street.
The manholes in the front yard,
The existing manhole is there.
the water line.
Power's overhead. I mean, happy to show you elevations. I don't know how that will help you with your decision, whether the floor is at 479 or 479.5, but
I'd like more time. That's what-
sure.
If we're gonna go into deliberative session and we have to make a decision, I will. Is there a water room? A water room, sprinkled building, I'm assuming, right? Really? 9 residential units, no sprinklers?
They're separated, each unit's separated by a fire rated separation, but because they all have, their
Okay.
private exits to the outside, they
Okay.
don't have sprinklers.
Okay.
Good question.
So that. Gonna have. Where are water meters going? Right, so there's individual services to individual units,
Individual,
so the water service won't go where it's shown there.
start there. Rope it in, slab, yeah.
Yeah,
And they usually put the little digital meters on the outside of meters on there.
I think
I can.
I can also, like I said, I have to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion. Subsequent.
Right. So it sounds like that's what we're gonna do, go into the deliberative session and then vote tonight.
we're gonna close the hearing.
So we're gonna close the hearing. Here we have enough information. So yeah, we will. Typically, in most of our projects now, we go into the session and vote on it. So. That's what we're gonna do.
Well,
Well, if we go,
we're gonna go into deliberative session and we have 45 days to render a decision.
well, that's true.
And do we have an opportunity to ask for more information within that now?
No.
Okay. Got it.
If memory serves, I believe the applicant, at least we've done something like this previously. Can elect to continue to address concerns of the board. That's within their purview to correct, should they decline to have us address this tonight.
Right.
So in other words, we can either make a decision tonight based on what you've heard, or you can address the concerns that have been raised, come back another day, and we'll address, or make a decision on that day, right?
And we can continue our deliberative session to another meeting. We can continue that, right?
Alex, what, did you say you were prepared to vote this evening?
Yes, I think I am. I'd be curious if we can continue our deliberative session into another meeting.
I couldn't hear the last part.
Curious to if we can continue deliberative session into another meeting. And I am looking up our DRB.
Why would we go, why would we close the hearing then? if we're doing that? That doesn't make sense. to me.
No, it doesn't, because then it would just be continued.
Right,
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Yeah.
Once we go into deliberative session, I don't think we can, it can drag out, so to speak.
no,
No.
I don't think that's fair. Either.
You don't recall it.
No, I disagree. We can continue deliberative session, as long as we render a decision within 45 days after the close of the hearing. I'm not saying we propose that here tonight, but I think it is allowed.
No. That feels ingenuous to me. So,
I don't know what the rules off the top of my head.
You have it by statute. Obviously, I was appreciated if you don't take 45 days to render a decision.
I mean, the ideal construction times
coming up.
coming up, so it would be nice.
It would take me a few minutes to read the DRB rules of procedure to find. I mean, I'm looking.
Thanks for that, Sharon.
Yep.
We call a friend.
I know in the old days, we wouldn't always have deliberative session the same night because some of our hearings would go till
Wait, let-
way
Right,
late.
yes.
And everybody was just like, okay, we're gonna, at the next meeting, we're gonna deliberate or whatever. Because to Harry's point, you have 45 days from the close of the public hearing to render a decision, but nowadays it's very vogue for every board to go into deliberative session. As opposed to like, at the beginning, the old days, we used to just do it right in front of the public, right? It's like, hey, we're closing it, and now do we want to deliberate? And everybody'd be like, yeah. But I think it's more widely used now that boards go into deliberative session to discuss it before they make a decision, so.
With regards to voting, notable. Absent board members may participate if they have reviewed the recordings and minutes of the proceedings and any evidence submitted. That's the most useful thing I'm finding for this particular moment so far. Staring at me,
Yeah.
I'm reading.
That is what happened with, what's the address on Main Street? The big housing project.
55?
51?
Thank you,
51.
51.
51 North Main?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Frothingham voted like 2 weeks after
Yes, he did,
we voted.
because that was a tied vote, yay and nays,
Oh,
correct?
Yes.
It was.
Well, we might have a tie vote here too. We only have 4 of them.
Well,
Oh, there's 5. There's 5. Sorry, Alex. He's so quiet.
So I think to move things along, we should go into deliberative session. And we will probably cast a vote this evening. That's what, sounds like that's what the board wants to do.
I'm
So most of this.
less
I'm looking up-
favorable.
I'm looking up Vermont open meeting law.
yeah, go ahead, Alex, I'm listening.
I'm looking at Vermont open meeting law, and it says that there is no legal requirement that deliberations occur immediately following the conclusion of the public hearing.
Okay.
So theoretically,
And
we could do the deliberative session at our next meeting for this.
Okay.
For this permit. I don't know
and
if that helps your
members,
decision, Harry.
and members who are currently absent are still eligible to vote if they have reviewed the recordings, proceedings, minutes,
Yes.
materials.
I think it's in our.
And also whether the fact, also determine that this public hearing is closed.
That's your desire, gentlemen? I move to close the public hearing.
We have a second?
So
All right, Harry moves to close the public hearing and Brooks seconds for our recording.
It's closed.
Okay.
Session. The end of the evening. We have a couple more issues to get through, but. Get through a couple other things on here.
Not following ceremony, but did you guys vote on closing the public hearing, or do you just say you want to close it?
David's gonna say, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Alex voted.
Okay, well, thank you guys
All
very
right,
much. for your
thank you.
time
Thank you.
Excellent.
And your patience. Thanks, Alex.
Figure it
Appreciate
out.
the input.
And look that I 100%.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, before,
Thanking you in the morning.
before all recordings are stopped for deliberative sessions. Again, yeah, a few things. So we have the meeting minutes from February 18th. Should have copies. Alex, did I manage to get those in an email?
February
I
18th.
don't think so.
Yeah.
Approve the minutes.
Do you guys mind if I step away? Cause my kids are well past their bedtime and I'm gonna
And
be
you
in
come
trouble
back
for
and-
not in bed.
I can't vote on these minutes because I wasn't here, so to the extent we need to vote on those, maybe
Okay,
delay kids' bedtime by 30 seconds.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
No, I don't think I have the meeting minutes.
If you're online and go to, oh, you know what? They're linked in the agenda. If you're looking at the agenda, you can just click the link.
Gotcha.
You guys have the minutes?
Thank you.
Gary?
I don't.
Yep, piles. Here we go. Go, where'd it go? Oh, Dave's got the piles. Yes, this is still an open meeting. So we don't stop. So this needs to be recorded for the minutes of this meeting. So,
Is the KOC after continuance? Is that what happened? with
No,
that?
we did, because we asked for more
no,
information.
you all voted.
We did, but
Oh.
on the condition that they
Oh, right.
gave us what we asked for.
Right, that the decision would be signed.
What was John for them this evening for that? What was he planning to do this evening?
Providing paper copies of what I
The
emailed you
changes?
all.
Okay,
yeah.
That was asked for in order to finalize the decision.
Do we have a full quorum here? What is,
Yes.
what is a quorum? How many?
A quorum is 4.
Sorry, did we get more information about specific windows design and siding materials and colors?
The siding materials and colors and so forth, are you talking on Foundry Street?
Yes.
That is coming under a separate permit application for design review.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We just needed a few more things to move the project forward as it was being done.
Yeah, and the third bullet point under the conditions, they'll return under a separate permit application, which I haven't yet received.
So on the February 18th, I believe I was here for that.
Indeed.
Please. Correct.
I would move to approve the minutes of the February 18th meeting.
It's amended.
Yes, as amended.
I'll
I'll second.
that.
Oh, Monica.
Monica second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good. Do we need to
Should I say
go-
Brooks wasn't here in the room for that vote?
Brooks abstained.
He abstained.
Okay.
Do we need to discuss the re-arc?
No, because they're still not here. They keep,
So there's nothing, we're not doing anything with that.
nope. Nope, this is the second meeting in a row where they have, lost their instructions to show up to, unless you want to look at the application materials without them coming to present. They were scheduled for last time. Nobody showed up. Dave said, let's continue it. I connected with them and they were like, oh, when are we supposed to come? And I pointed them to the 3 emails I sent reminding them of the February 18th and said, it has been rescheduled for the next meeting at March 18th. And here we
Are
are.
we talking about KFC or?
No, we're talking about the other,
Latchlight?
the Union Street,
Oh, Union Street thing.
right? So,
That's the.
I would say give them one more shot and if they're not
Okay.
here.
All right.
move up.
Yep,
That's Blue Jean.
yes, yes. Alex is suggesting we give them one more try. 3 is a charm or 3 strikes, you're out.
Do we need that?
Yeah, why?
I'm just saying Dave said last time we continue it, but that doesn't mean we have to.
This is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a demolition of the 2 low properties on Union Street.
It is just
Or the
one. The
first
other
one.
one, the other one was, all right, the other one was approved administratively, and in my look at the phase 1 bylaws, that was incorrect. And so the staff report on this one gives my interpretation of why the demolition and change of use in particular called for DRB review. And so here we are.
So what, the change of use from residential to recreation or
To
something?
public park.
Public.
Practically, all that's really occurring here is that we are approving the demolition of a house that's been FEMA
It's,
That's.
FEMA buyout.
yeah,
And it's gonna be green space.
correct,
It's maintained by the town.
correct.
And is the applicant here, Rearch Construction?
No, the applicant is the state. Or rather, the owner is the state / Waterbury. I don't know where the property transfer stands, but the state,
It's gonna take it over.
no, the town
The
is.
tax.
Right, I believe at present it is still technically under the state's purview because the state, through the FEMA buyout program, is taking care of this demolition. And they have engaged, Rearch to do the work.
The state has, so
The
they're
state
looking-
has,
So the sooner that we approve this, the sooner demolition, correct?
yes.
So there's really nothing else happening here other than
Other than
demolishing.
tearing it down and clean up and making it green
It's
space.
just, what
Right.
we're really dealing with here is like just FEMA process, I think.
And-
Right, well, and our regulations. Yeah, you're dealing with FEMA process and now you've got the document. It is, right. And you have the documentation on their plans so that you also see how they are removing the materials and blah, 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 the same kinds of questions you typically ask. And it's in the design review district.
We have
So-
a-
Are we going to extend it for another, the question is, are we, if I'm right, if I'm correct, are we gonna extend it for another try for them, or are we gonna make a decision on it now?
That, extending it was a suggestion by Alex as opposed to just ditching it altogether, or you have 3 choices. Tell them, reapply, because you're not showing up. You can decide on it tonight. But I should double check that and what I was just looking at, because typically, hold on. Public hearings, order of business,
Yeah, just give it-
or you can give them another continuance.
Just vote.
Request, explain, ask,
Yes,
It's fairly self-explanatory.
can we go there?
yeah.
I think we can.
Can,
Okay.
can we just vote?
I think so.
I'd
I'm
like
just being
to-
honest.
offer, the conclusion, based upon these findings and subject to the conditions set forth below. The board concludes that the proposed project by Riard Construction / Vermont Emergency Management for the complete demolition of 36 Union Street as presented in application GZ 26-0001 and supporting materials meets the design review and change of use criteria set forth in sections 1605 and 1608 of the Unified Development Bylaws, Phase 1, and Section 411B of the Waterbury zoning regulations of 2016.
Was anything we need to add to that at all?
And with that, I would like to say on behalf of the Waterbury, I'd like to move on behalf of the Waterbury Development Review Board. That we approve application GZ 26-0001 with the following requirements. The applicant shall complete the project in accordance with the board's findings and conclusions and the approved plans and exhibits.
So right now, it's just an attractive nuisance, right?
Sure is.
Yeah,
We'll need a second on that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Harry moves, Monica seconds.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay,
done.
Perfect. Thank you
We
all.
are bringing it in.
yes. Okay, was there anything else we needed to do before we go into deliberative session?
Yes, review and finalize the decisions on Foundry Street and Batchelder. There is no other public here to comment, so we can cross off that bullet point. My administrator reports and updates is just simply if you have not yet heard from the town clerk, because your term is up, and she's requesting an application if you are looking to re-up your time, you will do so shortly. And also we have 2 vacancies still on this board. The board itself should be a board of 7 regular members with up to 2 alternates. And we are right now functioning with 5 regular members, 2 vacancies and 2 alternates. So recruit your friends.
Or didn't you want to? Get on, well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's 2 vacancies, so if you wanna go, then do it.
Awesome, fill out an
I'm just-
application.
You should some kind of an email to the you.
There's a form to the town. And if your term is up, and by the way, how long are your terms? Because
My
that
last
is
one was-
not, all right, 3.
Many.
Okay, because the DRB, the rules of procedure, et cetera, explains everything about the composition except length of terms. Awesome. So we've got some 4-year terms, we've got some 3-year terms. I need to suss.
I'm not sure though.
I think it's a 3, because I think they're either 1 or 3.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go detail those and see which one of you is in which.
That would
My
be-
last one was a 3.
Okay,
Jen,
right. So you'll definitely be getting an email from Beth saying if you're interested in re-upping, they'll complete this form.
Okay,
All right,
so are we doing Batchelder?
Batchelder and 35 Foundry Street, KCOS, Kingsbury. Those decisions have been cleaned up as read, discussed, approved last meeting.
this is what we were waiting for back to the.
Correct. Correct.
Site.
Right,
Okay.
right. And took a while to get the parking on the site plan. I have plenty of copies of parking on the floor plan.
What's the number?
The 12
12?
batch older?
I think Dave was really hoping for a legitimate site plan that showed legitimate parking spaces. But I'm not so sure that's legitimately possible there.
So they're gonna cut that sidewalk off.
The sidewalk ends, right? Before, there's actually like a paved little hammerhead in there, I think. Like the sidewalk ends right there.
Oh, that's existing, so that's, okay, all right.
That's where these two would go. This one probably would cut it off a little bit.
Well. It actually would probably be there. What is this? This looks like something that's. In the way. It's hanging.
The utility pole.
Yeah, something on, so it looks like that's the stop. And then you've got the- Here. the 200. Probably 200. How far away from the tracks is that?
Right up against the right of way line with the.
Right.
That line right there, so that's the right way of the railroad.
Or the right of way.
I believe. It's that 30 feet.
I think it's 4 rod. So it's 33 feet from the center line.
From the center line.
Busy, Alex. I can bring up. All right, let's stop sharing that.
I'd like to suggest we move this one too. And
Yep.
let it paint us any further.
Yep,
So I don't know when our 45-day time clock starts, if it's the day that they provided the stuff we asked for, but this was voted on.
no, they divided this.
Right.
Okay,
Dave was gonna. Sign the decision when he was comfortable with this.
Right, so that's
Right.
basically already done. We just needed this.
right, okay,
Go to
so,
the
but the 45 days to render the decision. The decision was made on January 21st,
Okay.
and so I don't know if the clock on those 45 days starts when they.
When we
When they
voted.
meet the condition, or from when you voted, because you voted on January 21st.
Try to expedite it. So I'd be inclined to say we should run with the decision now. Not hold it up any further.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much room there.
Yeah.
I mean, I
you gave us what we
understand.
asked.
Yeah, I understand he didn't actually get it onto the site plan until today,
We got.
right?
So I
But it's
would
here.
move to decision.
So. All in favor to approve the decision?
Aye.
Did you get that, Alex? Yep,
You're muted. There you go.
Yes, sorry.
okay,
Okay, great.
that was
Unanimous.
five in favor.
Okay.
Okay. Let's put that one
All right,
there.
so that's gonna get a signature. Woohoo. All right, 35 Foundry. So I did email you the requested confirmation from Bill Woodruff about the pulling out of a parking space into a public right of way. And he said that Public Works has no problem with it, so that condition was met.
I did read that letter.
And then I also emailed the electronic version of with, yes, with the other elements listed in the decision provided.
And this had something to do with. Parking spaces, right? Well,
So
We
in
got
that
some.
one, okay, let me get my folders correct.
Yeah, we had a list of requests. correct?
Yep, the list is in the list of conditions in the decision. So. we've got, um, revised site plan showing the location of the dumpsters,
Yep.
how the dumpsters will be shielded, the addition of a stop sign at the intersection of the parking exit and Foundry Street, and one additional handicap parking space.
Yep, said, yeah,
Mhm,
a red cross, because they had the one just before right in the middle of the park.
right.
Now they put the other one at the edge.
So if those
Yeah, that's all we have.
4 items are on that site plan to your satisfaction, they have met the conditions.
Dumpster, they're shielded.
Yep, dumpsters.
Yep.
Dumpsters shielded,
They gotta be located right at the entrance to the site.
It really is.
stop sign.
These are. That's
For
what
this
it's you.
building, they're all kind of just over in here right now.
Girls, I'm still in my meeting.
What's that, Alex?
Oh, he doesn't
Sorry,
talk
arguing
to
with
us.
children.
Oh.
Alex, do you need me to share that site plan or do you have it in your email?
I've got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
This is an unfortunate place for that. Not along the sidewalk. That's like.
They did tell us that's where they were going. Before they put it on the site plan, they were just asking for the location, and they said they were gonna go there.
We'll hope for a nice enclosure.
Well, it's still gonna stink. Every time. Sidewalk. But,
They gave us what we asked for.
yeah.
So we need a motion here for what?
Approving the decision,
Decision?
in which the decision was made last time.
I so move to approve the decision with the amended site plan presented today.
Real second.
I'll second.
Okay, Alex, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Staying just because.
On that one, okay.
Boy, I hope they can get that building secured before we get a lot more wind.
Yeah,
I was thinking about them the other day with all that wind.
crazy.
Okay. And so it is now,
That was all aboard.
yep, it is now 8:38 PM and the public meeting will conclude for deliberative session